So are you going to take the break out of the inside bar, or are you going to take the fake out of the inside bar? Typically, my experience is that around 65-70% of the time on the stock indexes, as we discussed it last week, we discussed it yesterday, around 65-70% of the time, what you'll see is the inside bar acts as a false break on that first direction, then it flips over and goes in the other direction. We did note that crude oil was a little bit different, and that does generally at the moment act as the breakout. So we saw several of these setups yesterday, 5 different markets, what to do with basically 4 of them. We're looking at for example, the Russell, we saw the high of the inside bar break, then the low of that break, and so we get that inside-outside bar combination. And what we see on the S&P is, again, I think we might get a little bit of a rally higher, but we've got the low break, and we've got price rallying higher again. We've actually got the high of yesterday and the previous day being breached. We've got the Nasdaq doing the same, and the only one that's not kind of done that yet is the Dow here. Again, normally we'd see one side of the inside bar break, then flip to the other side. So the Dow's the only one that's not really doing that. It's acting as the breakout. So 6-7 times out of 10, we're seeing 3-4 times, 3 out of 4 behaving in the way that we expect just on this particular setup. We also saw Bitcoin's doing the same thing. It just breaks the lows, flips to the other side, and that gives us a quick overnight, I wouldn't say overnight scalp, but just an overnight 1-2 day quick hit opportunity. And as we've noted, crude oil is acting as the breakout. So the side that the bar breaks is the breakout move most of the time at the moment. So again, we've got this expectation, depending on what the market is doing, to give us some guidance as to where's there a high expectation of a trading opportunity. Now, these are not the same trade. Crude was a break and trend, Bitcoin was a break and fake, the Russell was a break and fake, and it looks like that we're seeing today the spillover of that. We're seeing the break and fake on the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the only one that's the actual break on the stock indexes is break and trend, which is the Dow. So again, we've got a good, just with this particular batch of setups, so I think we've got a good success rate with this. We've got expectations that certain things will happen in a certain way. So thinking about the tag and turns on the swings, again, I did honestly think that we were going to see price just take out the highs and then move lower, and then we'd be seeing price trend lower. As things are, we're seeing price remain bullish on the system. We are seeing the Bollinger Bands. I've just expanded the Bollinger Band width. We can see that we had really wide Bollinger Bands here, and then we've got really narrow, these upper and lower bands, and we're the narrowest that we've been in quite some time. That's what that line in the center saying. Hey, we're almost at the lowest bandwidth that we've been in quite some time. So again, we've got that compression, that coiled spring. Another way of saying it is it's a consolidation. We're already seeing price meander sideways, so the indicator's just confirming what we already suspected. So there's no ambiguity now. It is happening. It becomes a fact, because that is what's happening. There's no opinion when it comes to it. So again, the system is currently bullish for the moment. Again, we're already seeing markets gap about 40 points overnight, so we should see price push or gap towards that 7,700. And again, the bearish tag and turn might ultimately set up a good gap higher and trade lower. And we'll see what happens. The system's going to flag up what setups we should be taking when the setup's done. Looking a bit more detail at the crude oil, again, we can see that consolidation. That was the inside bar. It did break overnight, give plenty of time during the pre-market, the regular session, and tonight's, or last night's rather, consolidation, and then we get that pop and drop. So price is doing what we thought. The break and trend is what we're anticipating, rather than the break kind of fake out, if you like. And price movements are, again, moving quite fast, so I would imagine that we're seeing a little bit of news come out that's just impacting the market. I've not checked it personally, but just with the speed of movement, it's probably something along those lines. So directionally, I was thinking that we might get a bull break, mainly because the move into the consolidation usually dictates the direction of breakouts, but again, 6-7 times out of 10, along those same veins here. But we've got to take price, for what it is. Price broke to the downside, so there's the bearish break. Price is ultimately determining what we do, regardless of what my expectations are. But nonetheless, the setup is the setup, and it's done exactly what we thought. Looking at Bitcoin, we can see the same thing. We've got that inside bar. Again, there's that consolidation there. Just fakes out, turns around. And what we can do in this, I've not got the 5-minute chart on. I just happened to be at the desk at the time. Again, happy accident more than anything by design. But essentially what we can do is the consolidation low, we can just look for that breakout, pullback, and that continuation. Stops below the low where the red line there is. And we can just trade the break back into the consolidation in the same way that we might trade the break out of the consolidation. Just add a pullback into the mixing pot, and that gives you a nice low risk and high expectation trading opportunity. New highs are being made, and obviously we're seeing on the 4-hour chart on the big chart here, we've got another kind of setup again. I think let's just take a look at the live chart on Bitcoin. Actually, let's just flip over to there. So we've got that inside bar, just taking the low. We've got to presume that the same logic is going to hold good. Overall, I think it's fair to say that we're bullish at the moment. So we'd anticipate that the 4-hour inside bar will turn around and potentially push higher. That's the expectation. And again, we can drill down to the lower time frames. Let me just do that so I can kind of see what we did on the. So all I've done is marked off the lower the inside bar there. And let's just say drop down to a 5. So what we'd be looking for price to do, which is already doing. So we've got that big drop right there. Price is rallying, retracing. We've used that as our pullback high. So I was looking to kind of add in or reposition on a bull move, so that would be used as my kind of trigger point. Stops below the lows, past the events that get you in the trade. You've got a nice low risk trading opportunity. Where would you target? Again, essentially you're going to look for 4 hours. Essentially going to look for the other side of the inside bar. You're waiting for that to engulf, and it could happen all on one bar, or it could happen over 1, 2. Usually by the time 3 bars later on the time frame that we're looking at. So we're on 4-hour bars, so anywhere between 4 and 8 hours would be normal. It usually is a phenomenon that happens within 2 bars. So, if 3, 4, 5 bars later, like on the Dow, we're 3 bars later. So we don't really want to, keep flogging a dead horse. Anyway, Bitcoin, that's just a little bit of a live read while we've got the opportunity. Yesterday's Premium Poppers had their own full write-up. I've already written up what we're doing, so this is just a very quick summary. The link is in the description, or you can just go to the website and you can have a full read of what's going on. So let's get straight to the community. Again, my trades are on the charts there. If you want to press pause, you can do. Again, what's more important is not necessarily what I'm doing. I take my role as an educator and mentor quite seriously. And the most important thing for me is that what I do is replicate. Great that I can get the results, but if you can't get similar or comparable results to me, then what's the fucking point? So the community consistently getting the results. We've got a bit of a funny internet name there, but Ellis there, maiden voyage for you, and you've got your first wall of wins trade, which is absolutely awesome to see. So well done to you there, Andy as well, and Andy and Duncan as well. Again, for me personally, I had the possibility of a minus 280. Minus 280 on SPX and up to 220. And we landed in the sweet spot again. I was just keeping an eye on this. If we were going to go back into that profit or that loss trough rather, I would have attempted to try and do something with that. But it was pretty much holding those lows. Give me a little bit of a nail biting situation, but nothing to do about it. It was just sitting on that 3,000 pretty much most of the trading session. Okay, we're going to land the pin here, which is awesome. And then just in that last 10 minutes, you can see there, just in that last 10 minutes, it just sold off again. We were holding in that profit tent, just flirting with it pretty much all day. So I thought we might land the plane on that one, but that's just the way it is sometimes. Anyway, well done again to the anti-investor community. All of this is pretty much so that I can disengage the brain. All our setups are data-backed software. Basically highlights, hey, this is the opportunity. It scores it, it grades it, it says this is good, this is bad, this is not so good, this is amazing. and I increase and decrease position size accordingly. Also that I can disengage the brain, and less brain as always means more gain for me. The more I think about and overanalyze things, again, the less money I make. So I want to disengage that brain as much as possible. And if you'd like to learn how to collect morning income and weekly income in a similar way to what I've been showing you throughout these short videos, then just click the link next to the description or head over to antivestor.com and you can learn a little bit more about weekly and morning income trading opportunities. So with that said, I'll leave you with meme of the day, and may your trades be smoother than a cashmere codpiece, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.